Yeah, sure. I can do it, but it's going to be a little bit before I can get there. Okay. All right. Yeah, I'm willing to do it. Okay. He's written down. All right, so I can. All right. If I will. All right, thank you.
Okay. Okay, good evening. I'll now call the March 17, 2025 meeting of the Planning Commission to order. I'd like to thank everyone here for coming out tonight. I also want to point out that the sign-in sheets to speak during the public comments section of tonight's meeting is located on the table in the back of the courtroom. Only those in attendance who are property owners in Cumberland or are residents of Cumberland will be permitted to speak during the public comments or public hearings. This change was made to the Commission's bylaws during the organizational meeting in January of this year. If you wish to speak tonight, be sure to sign up on the sign-up sheet. The sign-up sheet will be taken up before the public comments section of the agenda. Mr. Johnson, would you call the meeting to order, please?
Mr. Matt Seal.
Here.
Mr. Steve Donahue.
Here.
Mr. Kevin Meadows.
Here.
Mr. Hubert Allen.
Here.
Mr. Steve Rosen.
Here.
Mr. Harry Donahue.
Here.
Mr. William Flippen.
Do we have a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Matt Seal.
Yes.
Mr. Steve Donahue.
Yes.
Mr. Kevin Meadows.
Yes.
Mr. Hubert Allen.
Yes.
Mr. Steve Rosen.
Yes.
Mr. Harry Donahue.
Yes.
Mr. William Flippen.
Yes.
Okay, the next item on the agenda to bring over tonight is capital improvements. Plan for the fiscal year 26 through fiscal year 30. Mr. Stanley, I'll turn the meeting over to you for your presentation.
Sir, Mr. Chairman, members of the Commission, Derek Stanley, County Administrator here in Cumberland County. I appreciate the opportunity to come out tonight and share with you the requested capital improvement projects for fiscal year 2026. I'm going to run through some background information as it relates to the CIP plan itself, and then work through the staff requests up until there's a time where there will be some time for question and answer and any other type of direction that the PC may want to give towards staff. Just to give you some background, Virginia State Code does allow for the development of a CIP program, typically done in 5-year increments for planning purposes, but we tend to focus on the immediate year as part of the next budget year cycle and the next budget year cycle process. Now, the county does utilize a 25-year CIP broken down into 5-year increments with the primary focus on that 5-year, and that 1-year focus is what we're looking for feedback from the PC tonight. The Planning Commission does play a role in the development of the CIP as they review and make recommendations and provide feedback based upon staff's initial requests. From there, I share the request with the Board of Supervisors, and then I synthesize all of the feedback from there into my County Administrator's recommended CIP, and the Board will then consider that capital improvement plan as part of the budget process as we move through the month of April. Just some background, the comprehensive plan does play a role in the development of the CIP. Some subcomponents of the comp plan include the public facility master plan, Parks and Rec master plan, and other plans that are yet to be developed, but frankly, because we haven't had an opportunity to do so. And these plans feed the CIP and long-term planning. They can be revisited at any time as requested by county administration or as directed by the Board of Supervisors. And ultimately, all of these plans are adopted by the board. Some projects and costs identified for the CIP are typically rounded up from the actual estimates that staff originally gets. That accounts for unforeseen costs and unexpected cost fluctuations. The quoted and estimated costs are identified in the county administrator's budget recommendation. So we may get an estimate for, let's say, $52,356. We tend to round that up because by the time you go to actually procure services or put something out to contract, we build in a little bit of an escalator so we don't have to come back and request more money. Funding sources include cash, borrowing opportunities, and grants and donations. And projects can be made contingent upon these funding sources. So, and I'll get into that more later in the presentation. As you'll see, we've done a very good job over the past couple of years of going after grants that can benefit us on the capital side. Part of our CIP includes identifying building components for replacement associated with project life cycles. That includes HVAC, where we've identified units that have 15-year life cycles. We do build that into the CIP from an awareness standpoint. We have roofs that are on 20-year replacement or updated warranty cycles. And our motto is don't wait for it to break. We try to plan for it ahead of time, and then you adjust accordingly. Vehicle replacements, you'll see that as a line item in here with the Sheriff's Office and our Public Works Department and Community Development. That vehicle replacements are identified using a newly adopted vehicle replacement life cycle policy where we take into account considering age, mileage, and repair versus cost of replacement percentage. So we look at how much a vehicle is procured for, and then over the life of that vehicle, once you get to a certain percentage of the cost of repair, it makes more sense to go ahead and surplus that vehicle and try to acquire either a new or gently used vehicle. As part of the CIP, we do look towards creative solutions. We partner wherever possible. Examples of that include the radio system, which I'll touch on that a little bit later. It's a great example of a partnership with Virginia State Police where we've saved the county millions of dollars as we've tried to implement that project. We've acquired used vehicles from surrounding localities that have been surplus and properly maintained at a discounted rate to help fill the gaps on some of our vehicle replacement needs. We've got an announcement that will come out in the next week or so regarding a tanker donation from Cumberland County. We've been able to leverage partnerships there where they are going to donate a used tanker to the county to be used at Cumberland Fire Department. We also look to implement best practices. A lot of folks don't realize this, but as part of our partnership with the Piedmont Regional Jail, we do have to, as part of that agreement, we have to pay for capital improvements that are required of that facility. And in working through them in the budget process, we've been able to reduce the impact to the county directly. I can go into a long, detailed description of what that looks like, but we've been able to save about $88,000 in the last year just on how we implement best practices through the jail. Again, these are all requests. They can be pushed out several years, 1 year, 2 years, 3, however ultimately we land on, based upon need and funding opportunities. Wanted to give you an update on some current capital projects that we've been working on. We did have an issue with the extension office where we had to identify a way to actually fix one of the walls in the basement. We were able to work with an architect to identify an alternative method to address the wall. We are working to complete that with ARPA funding across the county. We do have a sewer line issue along Route 60. Currently, the architectural and engineering is in progress with that. VDOT has weighed in, and now VDOT and the engineering firm is going to be working through how that issue can be remediated. Funding for that will need to be pulled from fund balance, but it's an issue with the line that we're going to have to address. We did receive, $100,000 in solar funding from a previously approved solar project back in 2021, and we've been making improvements to. That was earmarked specifically for those improvements there. And that was done, like I said, back in 2021. We've been addressing some issues down at our baseball and softball fields, improving the quality of play for our visitors, for our kids, and our parents and coaches. Also, you may have seen it in the last week, we did receive a $36,000 grant, approximately $36,000 grant through the governor's office for some improvements at Luther P. Jackson. And again, and we're going to leverage some of those solar funds against the match that's required of that grant, so nothing comes out of the pocket of the county. We were able to tie those improvements to farmers markets and having a year-round farmers market and kill multiple birds with one stone. In a previous CIP, we did identify some drainage issues in our school system, and eventually, in lieu of going through an engineering process, staff and school administration worked to create a creative solution, and that project was estimated at $200,000, and we were able to actually mitigate that issue with very little in terms of actual earthwork and things of that nature. We saw savings of about $200,000 there. As part of our recent Firefly contract with the county, they agreed to install fiber to the Range Road complex. We had budgeted $200,000 for that in the CIP, and they actually waived that as part of the fiber HUD install there behind the Range Road property. I touched on the county radio system. That is in progress. The system components for that have been ordered. We are working right now. You've probably seen it on your agenda related to a public hearing related to a tower install. We are working with a company to come out and actually site where that tower will go and provide to us a footer design so that we can work with the state police to actually install that tower. The county's going to have to install the footers, but the state police are actually the ones that are going to be installing the tower. So we're going to see a significant savings there. It's actually their tower on our property that they're going to install. Our estimated completion for the project itself is sometime this summer or fall, back in 2025. You may recall, this has been an ongoing issue in the county. The radio communications aren't the greatest. And through this partnership, when I first got here, I know the projected estimated cost would be between $4 and $5 million. We would have to build new towers. You'd have to go through the CUP process. You'd have to set up your own radio system, hire your own staff to manage it, and then have ongoing operating costs. Through our partnership with the state police and getting on that STARS network, we don't have to build any towers. We're on their system. Their maintenance folks handle all the maintenance. Any system upgrades, we're not responsible for. They handle it. We're simply a tenant on the system. So this is saving, I would estimate, between $2.5 to $3 million to the taxpayer. We're actually able to pay for the out-of-pocket expenses related to a debt restructure that didn't impact the tax rate. So you can see we're being creative in how we get some of these projects done, and I'm going to touch more on that as we move through the presentation. I know I'm moving quick, but feel free to stop me at any time. Wanted to touch base. We've been talking a lot about grants recently, and I wanted to give you an update as it pertains to some of our grant funding opportunities and how we can leverage that in capital improvements. For this fiscal year, we have received $173,340 for fire and EMS funds for equipment and our emergency medical dispatch, which is state mandated. We successfully submitted an RSAP grant for about $325,000 late last night for the new ambulance. We've got $300,000 previously approved 2021 solar funding, which I touched on earlier, and Virginia's Tobacco Commission grant in 2023. $81,000 for economic development, strategic planning, and improvements to the Luther P. Jackson complex. And I touched base earlier about the vehicles and the tanker donations. I mean, and also I'd be remiss if I didn't mention corporate partnerships. So not only have we leveraged relationships with Hanover and Goochland, we've also worked with Colonial Pipeline to acquire a vehicle for fire and EMS as well. So when you look at that surplus vehicle and donations, it's about $105,000 in savings that we've been able to realize do have a request, and again, this is a request, not a recommended budget. It does include 2 maintenance trucks scheduled for vehicle replacement policy. The sheriff's office has requested 3 additional vehicles to replace other vehicles that have aged out or have high mileage. Impacts have not approved. The fleet is aging and replacements will be needed at some point in the future. And I did talk earlier about creative solutions, about working to acquire used fleet vehicles at a discount. It's not recommended as a long-term solution, but it can buy you time. It can provide an immediate solution to the problem at a much reduced dollar figure. So that's something that to keep in mind as we program the CIP with vehicle replacements. It does come with some risk as vehicles aren't warranted, so we just have to be careful and balance those decisions as they come. And I can touch on the vehicle replacement standards if you're interested. I included it in the slide deck for reference. But just to give you an idea, we're not just saying, hey, I need a new vehicle. We do have standards that we try to operate by. 10 years or 150,000 miles is the standard. Other than the sheriff's office is 7 years or 150,000 miles. And I touched a little bit on the cost of replacement versus acquisition. That's what ARC means. So for example, if your ARC is 60%, county owns a 2018 Ford F-150 with 82,000 miles and paid $35 for the vehicle. Once your repairs exceed $21,000, then it's time to look for it to be replaced. Moving along, fiscal year requests for community operations continued. See some fencing improvements will include completing a fencing project at our Public Works Animal Shelter facility. The impact is not approved. The backside of the fence has not been completed, so if someone were to make their way around to the backside, you can still drive up and access the rear of the facility. Can't really see it that well, but it is something that we want to complete at some point in the future, especially if we have an economic development prospect in the shell building itself. We want to have that sectioned off. We are hearing more and more complaints at our transfer stations about paving, primarily at Randolph, where the transfer station has potholes. We patch those repeatedly, but especially with winter weather and freezing and thawing, we continue to see issues there. We've identified that as a medium priority. We continue to try to extend the life of that, but at some point we would like to have it repaved at some point in the future. The library roof is reaching its life expectancy and the roof does need replacing. It's a medium priority. We can certainly continue to monitor that and potentially push it out in the future years. That roof does need to be replaced, looking at about $100,000 cost associated with the replacement of the roof. HVAC replacement cycles include the replacement at the administration complex and Luther P. Jackson buildings. These units have outlived their life expectancy and they'll continue to deteriorate. Failure may occur, you're going to end up paying for it anyway. Some of these units are very old, parts are hard to come by, you can only patch them so many times before they go, and the repairs really start to outweigh the cost of replacement. Animal control renovations, that is a request on here, and that would include an added adoption space and building upgrades for a commercial washer and dryer. Animal control seeks to adopt as many animals as possible, and really one of the best ways to do that is to upgrade the space that they have. And some creative solutions, we are actively pursuing some of the Envigo settlement funds that may be available for the project. And we are actively pursuing that through our elected officials in Richmond. And at the end of the day, I'd like to see those renovations handled through that process or through fundraising and donations. Public Works shop remodel, I would anticipate that this one gets pushed out a few years, but we do have an existing three existing structures that we store equipment and personnel in. One of those is one facility that we can't operate out of. Equipment would have to be stored outside. Storing space is not suitable for its storage. Currently, we use the shell building for some storage. And if we do have an economic development prospect that goes into that building, we would have to find places to store that equipment as well. Some creative solutions would include staff continuing to evaluate potential solutions for storage of equipment and personnel at another location or utilizing another facility. Public utilities, fiscal year 26 request is an annual request for generators. Currently, we have 5 pump stations that have generators, but 12 pump stations in total. In the event of a power outage, staff has to manually transport and pump down each station. And as wherever the outage is, you have to start there, pump down, pump down, pump down, pump down, pump down, and then start all over again. So it can be time consuming and dangerous, especially in the event of really bad weather. Right now, we are currently seeking grant funding and VIGO settlement funds to help provide for these components as well. Judicial administration includes $1.5 million for architectural and engineering services related to the design services for the courthouse renovation. Staff is currently evaluating procurement methodologies that could impact upfront out-of-pocket expenses. And what that means is you have two paths you can consider. I think everyone's familiar with the courthouse. I can certainly back up and provide context to it if you have questions. But there are really 2 paths to it. You can go through the traditional design bid build, where you hire an A&E firm to do the specific design of what you're looking for, and there's an upfront out-of-pocket cost. Or you can go through what's called a PPEA process, and that's something that the county would have to adopt the guidelines for to meet state code, and then you would actually engage firms to come in and do the analysis, and the county wouldn't pay anything on the front end. So there's some nuance to it. I can answer questions related to that, but that's really where we're leaning right now, is to go through the PPA process. So over the next 12 months, finite design, costs, and funding opportunities, we're going to have to evaluate those as we move through the process, and possible renovations and expansions. So the long-term costs are still to be determined. We don't know how much it's going to cost. I know the sticker shock of $37 million was tough, but that is not what we're saying the courthouse is ultimately going to cost. That's what the conceptual design that was presented by our architectural firm told us. So we still have to fine-tune that, shave off some square footage, shave off some design components, and come up with the finalized design. So we'll know more in the coming weeks as we lay down the procurement strategy for A&E services. Fire and rescue request is for a new ambulance based upon our current fleet analysis and management. Staff has recommended not purchasing used ambulances moving forward because of the lack of warranties. Replacements would take place every 2 years. I mentioned this earlier, but we have successfully completed another RSAP application. And that's a typo. It would fund 70% of the new ambulance. It's a 70-30 match. So we would recommend replacing ambulances with that RSAP grant opportunity. Cartersville and Cumberland have both requested apparatus as part of the CIP. And the request from Cartersville is for what they call a foam truck, and Cumberland has asked for an apparatus SUV response vehicle as part of the CIP. And again, I think grant funding is available for all of these items. And as we have this year, as you can see, we're moving very aggressive in pursuing these. Almost done. Parks and recreation requests include funding for recently identified issues with the gym roof. If you're aware of the gym has a flat roof on the inside. But if you look at it from the outside, it's got an A-frame that was installed on top of the flat roof when the county sold it several years back. Whoever they sold it to, this is what I've been told, whoever they sold it to installed the school board. They installed an A-frame roof. That roof has started to fail. We are currently evaluating ways to remediate that roof with several options on the table, including full tear down and replacement, potential epoxy seal, and also taking that roof down to the actual flat roof itself. So we're going to be coming back to the board to discuss that as we get other options laid out. Right now, we only have one option that we've got a response to. That's $1.3 million. So that's why I plugged it in there for full transparency. So I can certainly answer some questions on that as we move forward. But right now, we've got to have more options on the table as we work through how to fix that roof. And I think there are more cost-effective options that we can pursue. The Bear Creek Connector Trail was partially grant funded. That was through a Tobacco Commission grant back in 2022. It's on there contingent only upon receiving the funding. We won't spend any out of pocket money to complete that item. Our Our IT CIP request includes a switch replacement related to our current IT infrastructure. Most of our infrastructure is lagging behind. Some of it is between 8 and 10 years old. And we have got to address or replace our IT infrastructure if things are going to start to fail. Again, you've heard me say this a million times, but we are pursuing grant funding. But at the end of the day, if we don't take care of our IT infrastructure, we're going to have major problems. School CIP request, this was provided to us as part of the CIP process. I don't think I've got anyone from schools here to address it, so I'll do my best. They have requested $150,000 from ADA Playground. It's my understanding that's going to be done through donations. They did list it as a low priority. A restroom and concession stand facility at the football field, $150,000. Again, mostly done through donations, etc. As a low priority. Athletic field lighting. Currently, their football and baseball fields are not lighted, so this would allow for extended use of those facilities. And that would be $400,000 in 2-year increments. Again, that's a low priority as well. I think we've got some great opportunities there in Musco Field lighting. The original elementary school roof is $1.1 million. It's original from 1996. It's a high priority, and we are going to have to replace that within the next 2 to 3 years. So again, funding sources include a mixture of grants, donations, and general fund dollars. With that, I know I've thrown a lot of information at you. And that's just 1 year. But again, I'm looking for, as far as next steps go, I'm looking for feedback from the Planning Commission on CIP priorities, feedback on funding opportunities, and of course, creative solutions, projects that may be pushed out to future years, and then any other questions and follow-up. All of your feedback will be incorporated into the county administrator's proposed CIP as part of the FY26 budget recommendations. So we do take this part of the process very seriously. We'll share everything with the Board of Supervisors during their next workshop as well. So with that, I'll be glad to take any questions, go back through the presentation, what have you. It's your pleasure.
Are you looking for approval or each individual project tonight?
If the Planning Commission is comfortable approving, I wouldn't say approving this is a recommendation. If you want to provide feedback on what's been recommended in the motion to approve the feedback, that's really what I'm looking for. If we need another meeting to accomplish that, that's okay too. We can work through that. But I want to make sure that the Planning Commission's had an opportunity to weigh in on what's been presented.
Just have 2 questions, Mr. Stamey. As far as the library roof goes, the library structure is owned by the county, correct?
That's correct.
And the request from the school for the ADA accessible playground. Do we have ADA students at the school?
Yes, sir, we do.
Okay. And if we do not have an ADA accessible playground, are we in violation of the federal ADA Act?
It's a great question. There's a difference between an ADA accessible playground and an ADA compliant playground. An ADA compliant playground means you meet the minimum. And it's my understanding, based on what I've seen at the schools and at all of our county facilities, that we meet the compliance. The ADA playground will be specifically designed and built for those with special needs. Does that make sense?
Just concerned if we've got ADA students that they have an ADA compliant playground, but it's not ADA accessible, are we meeting the letter of the law? And I guess that would be something that the school's attorney and the county attorney would have
We
to
can follow up with you on this.
present guidance to us.
Yeah, I think we're in compliance, but I think the ADA playground would take it a step further and make it more accessible.
How many ambulances does the county have?
6.
6.
And they range in miles from 68,121 to 105,489. The reason I know that is because it's worked on the grant last time. But yes, sir, we have ambulances that are from 2006 all the way to 2019. So it's everywhere in between. We have ambulances that are 19 years old and some that are 6 years
And that money, I believe, what I'm looking at here, is $435,000.
That's
Is
correct.
that for the cost of one new ambulance or one?
Yes, so actually the cost is the quote we have right now is $406,326. And that's for a new ambulance, a Type 1 Ford F-450, four-wheel drive, all the bells and whistles, fully lettered, everything. Now, the little extra money is for stretchers, equipping the vehicle, et cetera, so that it's road ready.
So is 6 the number that the county feels it needs, so we get a new one, there's 7, do we
You
sell or
surplus.
auction off?
Yes, sir. Or, and there's another thing, we want to start with a new one, and then we're going to evaluate re-chassis. So in other words, the box that you have on the ambulance may still be good, but the engine and the transmission may not be. So you can potentially re-chassis. The RSAF grant, to my knowledge, doesn't allow you to seek funding for re-chassis an ambulance. But that doesn't mean that it can't be a much cheaper option for the county down the road if it's not eligible for a grant, if that makes sense. I think the goal right now is to maintain 6 in our fleet. And when we have a surplus, it may be, if you can't reuse the box, maybe you offer it up to one of the volunteer fire departments as a brush truck. Or you offer it up to the schools for one of their training programs, or you surplus it. It really just depends on the vehicle.
Mr. Chairman, I have a couple of concerns. One is I'm not really sure what I need to be asking, for 2 reasons. One, this is the first time I've seen this for this year, and I'm usually one to take a little while to process things. And so I usually like to think about things a little bit, and I don't even know what to think about this. So I have a hard time asking any questions that would be able to provide like that. And then secondly, it's in a new format, which is confusing to me. So that would indicate that I need to even spend some more time trying to even figure out. I think I like the new format, I'm just not sure what to do with it.
I believe isn't that what, we all got an email earlier about a workshop. I mean, obviously I can sit here and do it right now, but I think the motion for a workshop to learn more about it would be appropriate, imagine in my opinion.
Mr. Chairman, I move, due to the timeliness of the presentation and all, that we set a workshop for the CIP 1 week from today, which would be 24 March.
Second.
May I just ask a question for you for a second? Does that affect anything that you asked me about the workshops earlier today? Is it using that date,
No,
not the
sir.
fact of the workshop, using that date?
Yeah, so the 2 dates that were available that I had offered was Monday, March 24th, or Monday, March 31st. And Mr. Seal, are you available next Monday?
Yes.
Okay, so I believe all the commissioners are available Monday, the 24th. So
Okay.
that would be
Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
That's everything.
fine. So Mr. Allen made a motion to schedule a workshop for the CUP on Monday, March 24th, and that'll be at 6:30 in the conference room. And then Mr. Meadows seconded. So Mr. Matt Seal,
Yes.
Mr. Stephen Donahue,
Yes.
Mr. Kevin Meadows,
Yes.
Mr. Hubert Allen,
Yes.
Mr. Steve Rosen,
Yes.
Mr. Harry Donahue,
Yes.
Mr. William Flippen.
Yes.
And may I just make a comment, request? I believe last year, we ran into a little issue with the commissioners about coming and giving a presentation and being asked to forward it that same evening, and we expressed a desire to be able to review it a little bit. Now we've come back this year, and we kind of have the same position we were in last year. So I'll make a request again that next year, we would love, now we're setting a workshop, maybe we can just advance the workshop by the way, so we eliminate that issue. Because I don't think any of us, I don't want to speak for anybody here on the board, so I'll speak for myself. But I don't think myself, I don't like getting something and then being asked to move it forward immediately.
Sure, absolutely, and that's not what the ask is. I think what I want to do is present it, give you an opportunity to digest, ask questions. I want questions, I want feedback, so that I can be prepared to address those at your workshop.
Okay.
So that's,
Well, workshop definitely solves that problem.
Yeah,
I
so
agree with that.
it's
Okay.
one of those things when you're working through the budget and all the other things we have going on, it just, you gotta shoehorn it in there somewhere.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay. All right, so the next item on the agenda will be the capital, oh, we've done that. Okay. The next item, is a motion. We have a motion to set the, Green Ridge public hearing for April 21st, 2025.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the Cumberland County Planning Commission set public hearing on 21 April 2025 to address CEP 24-01, the Green Ridge Recycling Disposal Facility request.
And do we have a second?
Mr. Matt Steele,
Yes.
Mr. Steve Donahue?
April 21st?
Yes, sir. Should be your next regular meeting.
Yeah. It's just, it's the Monday after Easter, everybody goes out and away.
I'm likely not to be here.
What's that?
I said, I'm likely not to be here myself.
Yeah, it's not a good time to have to do it. I mean, especially if you've got citizens that are going to be going. So you're voting no? Yes, I'm voting. You're voting here, okay, I'm voting no.
Mr. Kevin Meadows?
No,
Mr. Hubert Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Steve Rosen?
Yes.
Mr. Harry Donahue?
Yes.
Mr. William Flippin?
Yes. Just for clarification, we have now set it for the 21st, correct?
Correct.
Okay, old business.
Okay. Let's see, I apologize. Old business. So potential code amendments, we do have a few that are still on the list here. Hopefully I'll be able to get to those in the next few months. Cobb's Creek Reservoir update, I do have some photos to share with you this evening. The next few pictures were taken on January 23rd, 2025. You will see there is still some ice on the water here. And this next picture, you'll see at the tower, this was at 312 feet. And this following picture, the next few pictures were taken just last Thursday, March 14th. You'll be able to tell the difference in the height. Believe it or not, that's only 10 feet. That's 322 feet.
You can actually shoot water from Columbia Road now.
Yes, you can see it in a few different places. Yep. So going back, there's one from 312 feet, and then the next one is 322 feet.
What's the,
356 feet, I believe. 350-ish feet. So the reservoir is approximately half full. They're currently at about 8.5 billion gallons, and they still have about 7.5 billion gallons to go. So even though it looks like it's pretty full, the water has steadily risen up, but now it's got to spread out. So it's still going to be a little while until it's completely full. That's all I have for old business. For new business, Mr. Paul Stinson.
The only thing I wanted to say is thank you very much for setting the CIP workshop, because I think it's very important. That's what we have, and sometimes we walk into something, you need a few days, a weekend, or something like that, we need to get it to happen. That's my outlook. So I'm searching for the same thing, and unfortunately, we get it, a couple hours to spare, of course, in the morning, it is a lot. Take advantage of, and again, that's a very, very smart move, so thank you very much for doing that. Again, that's me. I think, like I said, we make a better recommendation. With that one.
Mr. Chairman? Okay. So next on the agenda is the planning department monthly report. You'll see on page 29, or starting on page 29, is the update from the February meeting, which was canceled, and that would have been the project updates for January. There were 3 pending applications for conditional use permits and rezonings. There were 2 commercial accessory permits issued, 8 residential primary, 8 residential accessory, and 1 farm structure permit issued. 3 approved subdivisions with 47 pending. 1 approved survey of existing lot with 26 pending. And then we have the 3 commercial E&S projects ongoing with 7 residential E&S permits. And then on page 32, you'll see the pending code amendments. And then starting on page 34, you'll see the planning projects updates for this month, which are actually reflective of February. The same 3 pending CUP and rezonings. There were 5 residential primary zoning permits issued, 6 residential accessory permits, which again are like decks, sheds, that sort of thing, and 2 farm structure permits issued. There were no approved subdivisions for the month of February. There were a lot of new ones that were coming in. So we do have 48 pending. There was 1 approved survey of existing lot, and we have 33 pending. The same 3 commercial E&S projects with 7 residential E&S permits issued. And then we have the same code amendments that are pending as well. Next on new business, we have the building inspection monthly reports, which start on are from pages 39 to 42. As well, these are from the February meeting, which is reflective of the January data. And then from this month's meeting, which is reflective of the February data. So in January, there was a total of, we have 3 double wides, 6 new homes, 1 addition, 63 miscellaneous permits, and 3 commercial, for a total of 76 year to date. Total fees collected were $12,687 year to date. And then for the month of February, there was a total of 59 for the month, 112 year to date permits. Total fees collected were $8,297.07, and year to date was $17,069.14. And that's all I have for you for new business.
Okay, we'll open up for general citizen comment now. I'd like to remind everybody that only those people who have signed up, and those who are Cumberland property owners and who are residents are permitted to speak. This change was made to the Commissioner's bylaw during the organizational meeting in January of this year. Each speaker will have 3 minutes. When called, please come to the podium, state your name, address, and in which district you reside. Thank you. Betty Myers, please.
Thank you. I'm Betty Myers, 577 Deepline Road, District 1. I do appreciate that me speaking this evening. I put up your agenda this morning, and I saw that you were going to go into closed session. So I learned back in my prior career that one of the first things you need to do when you're faced with something new, you need to look at the bylaws. So I looked at the bylaws for the Planning Commission. And the meetings that are addressed in here are the regular meetings, which is this is your regular meeting here this evening. Special meetings may be called by the chairman or by 2 members upon the written request to the secretary. The third part, 7.3, says all meetings of the commission shall be open to the public. And 7.4 is the individuals and the public desire to speak must be residents of the property. However, in going through the entire bylaw, I did not see anything related to closed meetings. So therefore, I looked at the references that were provided in the agenda, and I did not see where the Planning Commission has the right to hold a closed meeting. I'd just like some clarification on that. And these are your bylaws dated January 13th, 2025.
June speak to that. Mr. Chairman, the Virginia Code references under the FOIA Act, public meetings and how those ought to be conducted. That statute references all types of meetings of localities and government bodies, which the planning commission will follow up. And so therefore, even though the planning commission may not specifically address closed session in its bylaws, under statute, it comes under the requirements of the FOIA for localities, governing bodies, which the planning commission will come up.
Would you please put that in writing for me? Because I have checked the checked the bylaws, and I have checked the references also. I would appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mrs. Johnson. Do we fall under the general guidelines of following Robert's Rules of Order?
Yes.
Yeah, so the Robert's Rules of Order allow us for executive session, which is closed session, right? So is that what you're referring to?
Well, I think, Mr. Dungy, you're correct. Robert's Rules does reference executive session, particularly though, so yes, and then also Virginia Code references specifically closed session. And I'll reference, Robert's Rules would probably, would allow organizations to go into the executive session for reasons that you would not be able to. Virginia Code is restrictive in the reasons why you can go into closed session.
Dan, Mr. Temple?
My name is Dan Pemple, 41 Echo Lane, Bonneville, District 5. I was, want to make one comment about the Green Ridge. I think you're getting taken for a ride on that, keep on changing the rules. 1 minute, it's 250 feet, then if they go to 300, they're gonna change something else and back somewhere else. You gotta be a Philadelphia lawyer to try to figure out what to do. Prince Edward turned down their, solar panel thing because they did the same thing. There were Philadelphia lawyers in there, and they changed everything around it, and told them to get it out of town. I think you need to do the same thing with the Green Ridge. The other question is on the radio communications coming up with using the state police. I'm in Randolph Firehouse, run around, we're working on it, we're gonna tell you how it works. We deal with Farmville coming in as mutual aid. How are they gonna talk to us if we don't even know what frequencies are gonna be used? And Farmville is going digital, they're putting up their own towers. We don't even know if we're gonna be able to talk to them. I think we're only getting a total of 6 radios being dispersed and kept on the trucks, and then you gotta take them off the truck, you gotta do the call. It makes no sense in life to try and get an answer. Somebody come up with an answer how we're gonna operate.
You said that was your second question. I'm waiting for the question.
Yeah, how are we gonna operate the
Oh.
fire department?
Okay.
So on the state police frequency, we don't know what the frequency is. Radios are expensive as anything. We were told if we lose one in the fire, we're responsible for the thing. Like $14,000 per radio. Nobody even wants to carry one. And then they're taking away our pages. We're gonna use I am responding, and you can listen to I am responding. How are you gonna listen to that when you turn out here with the radio on? It makes no sense if we can't get any answers. Nobody's giving us straight answers. I wish somebody would come out, how are we gonna talk to them?
I can't answer your question, it's not that unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, if we get, well, run around, we can't get any answers. They say, well, we're working on it, we've done it in 2 years. What are we gonna do? We can't talk to them in 2 years. We got enough experience to correct the stuff, instead of somebody reading a form from the state police. So that's my comment, we gotta do something.
Gina Martin?
Martin County, T. Clarksville Road, Cumberland. Couple things. How can the planning commission consider voting on this CUP as it has been presented so far, with negotiations still ongoing, because you don't even know what these possible expansions in the future is going to be and what they're going to do with this land. This will not be profitable to Cumberland County, just hazardous. False promises of this money. In order for Green Ridge to recoup their expenses, which they mention all the time, $20 million, the initial phase will not be profitable for Green Ridge, with only 75 trucks a day. Cumberland's not going to see the money for a long time. This is the get the foot in the door tactic. They, Green Ridge, will expand to their original mega landfill size and bring trash from out of state. They stated in multiple meetings with us in private and in public that they want to replace all the landfills that the life expectancies are going to expire, meaning Charles City and others. Those landfills currently take trash from out of state. These they state this landfill will be Jerry Slifer's legacy, not a 75 trucks a day. He expects to expand this big time. Because it will be big and profitable for Green Ridge, not Cumberland, and very harmful to the residents and any future resident. Please consider this.
Thank you.
The vote again.
William Bruce?
Evening Board, William Bruce, 63 AG Lane, 4th District. Please don't take umbrage to what I'm getting ready to tell you or say. What legal authority does this board have? You vote on something, let's say you all vote no on the CUP that you're going back to closed door session to vote on. If this board doesn't have a legal right, the vote is not legal. So no matter what you vote on, it's going to go in front of the Board of Supervisors. So if you don't control any employees, your vote doesn't matter, you're just an advisory board. What definition gives you legally to be in closed session? Please look into that. Then you talk about you're going to go to closed session for a CUP. Well, you've already had 3 meetings, one with the Board of Supervisors. I think you should start the process over to hold the meetings again. If you're dealing with the landfill, you're just dealing after the fact of holding these public meetings. You need to start the process all over again. We should not be, at this day and age, going into closed sessions trying to figure out something. And then another thing, the road that the landfill plans on using is directly across from another road, just catty-corner. That's in a bad intersection. They say a line of sight. Well, a line of sight's only one way. You go eastward in the morning with that sun hitting you, you're going to have trouble. You go the other way when the sun's hitting you from the west, you're going to have trouble. And they're going to talk 75 trucks. Look what just our landfill container trucks do to that road. And now you're going to go put 75 to 80 trucks on that road a day? Can you imagine if 18-wheelers went down Commerce Road a day? They'd destroy the road. There's got to be some thinking going on. Now, like I said, they're going to take umbrage what I'm saying. Your voice doesn't have any merit. You got all vote. You got all come out to these meetings. Thank you, by the way. You put your effort in, but the Board of Supervisors are going to do what they want to do. It's always been that way. All right. Have a great night. Thank you.
One thing, I don't know if you misspoke, but I want to clarify something. When we go into closed session, we're not voting on anything. You stated that we're going into closed session, we were going to vote on something.
No.
Not voting on anything.
Just to hear information on the CUP. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. All right, so we'll close the general public comments at this point. And we need a motion to move into executive session. Oh, yeah, Commissioner comments, I'm sorry. Arthur. No commissioner comments.
Mr. Chairman, pursuant to Virginia Code 2.2-3711A8, consultation with legal counsel, I move that we enter into closed session to consult with legal counsel and authority retained by a public body regarding specific legal matters requiring the provision of legal advice by such counsel. Nothing in this subdivision shall be construed to permit the closure of a meeting merely because an attorney representing the public body is in attendance or is consulted on a matter.
We have a second?
Matt Seal,
Yes.
Steve Donahue,
Yes.
Kevin Meadows,
Yes.
Hubert Allen,
Yes.
Steve Rosen,
Yes.
Terry Donahue,
Yes.
William Levin.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
They've always given Randolph the runaround. Y'all have had to pay for your own fire department, fire trucks and everything for years. Every time you go to get a loan out of them, the county says they'll pay it, and then Randolph has to make the money. I know. But nobody in District 4 wants to vote for me. Well, they did one time. I lost by 2 votes. Did you want to see, I brought these in, that was given to me. These are the 8 loans that the county has currently. This from the school to the, that one's 14 million, 11 million. Altogether, it's $45 million. Or no, 54 million. 54 million. 20, that's 20. And now they're complaining about the sewage line.
Yeah,
That's what, 30-something years old? It's an 8-inch line?
But you know who's getting serviced by that, it's not us.
Right. But we're on the Appomattox River, the James River, and the Wills River, and we don't process or treat water. Just like when they built this addition on this courthouse, they ordered a historical marker, so we lost that out of the registry.
No, it's still there. It's still there. They found it. They verified it last time.
Huh?
They verified it last time.
In case you're wondering.
It's on the historical registry
Yeah.
still?
Ron verified it. Because he said it wasn't even. And he went and Googled it and it said it was I want to say
Yeah,
2000.
Googling it and
It says 2007 it was recognized. You have to talk to him about that because he looked it up while we were in the meeting.
But originally, this was scheduled to be over here
Mhm.
tonight, and that would be held at the school.
Yeah.
So we can change it.
Yeah.
It's more. So, yeah, we continue with that.
I'm from Orlando. But, 30 years ago, burn incinerator.
Uh-huh.
Food everything, right? People had one. Then the old man was selling all this. What are you doing? Now, what are you doing? This is the burn of 2 days already. Everybody looked up, no pollution.
Yep.
New York City, all of a sudden, they come on the road, hey, we want to buy into that horse.
You know, that's true, because I used to work in.
I was in Florida.
Classified control, this service. And so, we would be classified documents. And we would have the stories, and then it was on the place where they had hospital. Everyone went to the incinerator, we had to stay there with the insurance. There's other solutions, there's other solutions.
Yeah. And there's statewide, with 5 generators, 0 generator power. Just,
Well, they plan to do that with this one, once they cap it,
oh, yeah.
and then, they'll start reclaiming the gas. And that's what Bill Ozel was hoping to do with the one down here on 60. He wanted to put, the original drawing had his power plant right there on 60. That's what the $400,000 building is. That was the low methane. And he got all the farmers around here to buy into. And the county lost probably $2 million on that fiasco.
And it's a dirt floor.
And it's a dirt, 400,000 square foot building with a dirt floor.
Why don't they use that for the animals? For dogs.
Well, I mean, I think it's a great idea. I mean, as much as we love animals, but, you know, there's other things you can put in there.
Well, do you want to come join us?
No, I can hear you.
What are you saying, I'm loud?
No, I'm reading
Just
what's
say
happening.
it.
I'm
Just
reading
say
what's
it.
happening in Cumberland. See if there's anything worth reading.
I'm hard to hear. I'm not staying for them to come out. What legal authority do they have to be in closed session with attorneys? They have no vote, they have no legal authority. So that's what gets me. They don't hire employees, it's not an HR matter. They can't sign contracts, they can't vote, they can vote in their, correct.
So, you know, and you.
Right. That's why I told him with the attorney, and I said, when he said he wanted to write it, and he said the rules of Roberts. Well, the rules of Roberts are how you conduct a meeting, not that you're allowed to go into closed session to talk about contracts, HR matters, which this board has nothing to do.
And so he's quoting something I think you have to do this.
Yeah, it's just the legal right to, you would quote a certain code for HR, you would quote a certain, right, yeah. Oh, there's another one back there. I should have asked to go back there because they would have denied. Still, it's, yeah, you're allowed to have one citizen back there. This is just an advisory board, that's all they do.
Oh, wow. approximately 45.
You know, it's interesting, last year I looked at cruise in Germany. Germany has 84 million people living in an area that's less than the size of Minnesota. Well, that's interesting.
Nine.
Their wine fields are on the hills. They don't use a lot of tractors and so on, and it's all done by people. Because the hills are hills, not hills, but mountains, besides mountains. And, the other thing I found out, even in rush hour, the cars are a good distance apart from one another. Another one is on tour buses. They were not even, tour buses are not permitted to start the buses more than 5 minutes before they're scheduled to leave. Do you realize how much that does? I mean, I was traveling with a lot of Americans who are can they start the bus so we can have the AC cars?
Or heat, AC or heat.
And the thing is, these Americans.
So the rescue squad up there is doing okay with the building, the layout? Right. Right. And when Cumberland did away with helping with the real estate tax, volunteers, they did away with that. That's why we've lost a lot of volunteers. Okay. For volunteers? Can you tell you how much eggs were up there? Yeah. Gallon of milk up there is like $15. That's, you know. We're flying, we're not doing cruise. I was Navy, I don't want to do any more cruises.
First time he was up there, flew went from Easton, Trump show, the USA, passing all the
Mac flights?
standby.
Standby, yeah, Mac flights, yeah.
No, Mac is military.
Oh.
Standby.
Yeah.
Roads were single lane either way, also tour buses, and downshift, oh, wow. So then the money.
On the ship, you can just look at all the people.
Just look out the window, it's beautiful sailing.
There's a tour bus full in, and they load up all these buses, and then they go up to one resort, and they go to the restaurant.
Besides that, you
Good truck.
That's the sea.
That's
See, that would.
Yeah, I know. You ready? Yeah, they're just gonna come back out and say, blah, 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 we didn't discuss anything, blah, blah, blah. It's, yeah.
Start up on the power, so. State industries.
Yeah.
It's locally, one of the, things. How are we gonna do it? Right, we're working.
You have to communicate, you have to communicate, tin can. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's just, in the Phone, they know the phones don't work there.
I had a flip phone, no reception. And then finally I put Patriot mode. So my wife got that. So we said, the phone could actually get reception. So she said, "You higher, of course, she's 20 feet higher, she had good service. It was a 5 points. I had responded, I said, fine, we're getting reception. So it was Patriot.
Somebody told me T-Mobile.
Yeah, they were signed up. 8,000, 6,000 bucks. Next issue, it was out of Internet, free phones. And I got free phones, I think it's only like $30. And military discounts, other discounts. I mean, it's like $30. As soon as you buy it, you'll do it.
That's Murphy's Law. Gina and, they'll stay.
Yeah, I am.
I guess they'll just come out and say, okay,
Yeah, probably will. But intimidation.
Oh, yeah? Yeah.
After I moved, it was a little bit more right now. Yeah, the railroads are. The other one, north. So that property back up to the railroad, they technically had a right of way to back you onto something. So nobody knew about it. And all of a sudden, they put up townhouses. 4 stories high.
Yep. Right here?
See what happened.
Yeah.
Jeremy, he was supposed to. I will.
Probably 30 emails to mine, the fourth district. She said he had responded.
So things like that. So. It's like.
not hold the open. That kid walking around, what, he's in the stuff. See, this is. No, she said she was right. Yes, she said it's necessary. Or he's just saying this to pass the lives. If you see anything from Jim. Legislative, what's this called? Party board, bureau, commission. And then you come up. Yes, we are. Florida Party, and you want to join? Florida Party, you want to join? It's a private. No, I mean, it's a small group, you can join. Very close then.
Make sure the piece is still being peaceful. I'd say make sure the piece is still being peaceful.
No.
So this one about right now.
Well, this is the normal planning commission meeting, but the closed session is, they're meeting with legal counsel on that CUP.
Oh.
And we're paying.
Oh.
We're paying.
That's all I'm asking.
We don't like to pay.
But I don't like having to do my bad side of my job. I like to see people get to walk away with smiles.
You know, it's boring if you just sit there quietly.
I don't know.
We have to keep on their toes.
Yeah.
I know that last board of supervisor you got out. I totally agree.
Yeah, there's a lot of cussing and cursing, other people that shouldn't have said.
Well, if that person comes back to the meeting, I was gonna have to talk. And say that's not the way to handle it.
It's not a winning argument.
But we behaved on the last board of supervisor, it was very quiet, it was packed. You must not know what, it was very proper.
Last one, y'all had, I was on night shift,
It was totally, I apologize to some of the board members afterwards. I didn't do anything, but I just apologize for doing it.
I knew it.
Nope, we didn't.
So that everybody's coming tonight, to shall be with them?
Oh, no, the crowds are, we were here up until the closed session. Everybody's, a small crowd. They were in closed session, they'll probably just come out and say, hey, we're going home now.
They can come see it wasn't any education, but that's specifically asked about it. And you just have to sit down and talk to them, decide all of it. You don't have to be trained. Okay, all right, well, I'm sorry I got you in the meeting, but, here. And I'll be available if you need anything. You need me call.
Yes, with that, it would be good policy. She can show that.
So that you are invaluable. Yeah. So, I'm used to that. But give me damaged leash, I guess. Well, probably not.
Bring it back in there. I called him and I said, this is recorded in my office. It's budget, I said, you will send me this, I said, this is scam. I don't know. I said, "Thank you." Please report it. I said, "Go ahead." This is for you.
Available. Yeah, we're on. No. So, their system didn't already post it. Right. But I don't know. What's but the website, it showed the next two days. But this payment that they was okay, so she wanted to know why. Because the notices are great. It's a glitch in the system. So I saw it, I was like, yeah, don't mind. Now, me too. And it's like, don't show me. I said, why don't you join our team? He said, I will. Really? Good. Stays on.
One that he's in, so they're all. I'm just testing for either do it or not. Yeah. So if it's not shift, we try all. What's that? Names. Try one of those. Laura, she came to me that she
Because it's compared to well, I would see someone there, and she's gonna do it, right? You know? So you can go over this one. But they want their Ontario, Kansas City. My friends and my husband is a right. I talked about also. Plus, also these guys, so far. It's the one who's the babies, it's what you put it on right here. And my shoulders, they don't dance like this. And it's generally the same as the shoulder. I feel like it's, I feel something. I don't have to babysit us. There's only two of us, you're probably don't. You're getting paid for it. Overtime. No, night shift. Night shift. What's happening on night shift?
Depends. They're either slammed or there's nothing, there's no in between.
So was there a big accident on 60 here recently?
Possibly, I'm on night shift, so if it happened on day shift, I don't know.
I've also been out of town.
Then you know you live in the country. Let me tell you what happened. If the evidence of fire truck went down, you call it out. You can hear it. I heard the sirens.
I hear all the time.
I know.
And run that road hard.
I know.
So what's the police department think about all these dump trucks that's gonna come through the middle of Cumberland from the west? If they think it's included. We don't really have an opinion.
See, I knew that one.
Oh, well, I didn't think about that.
Yeah. They come here and told me.
Well, you can make some revenue.
No, it's not that we've been told anything about it, we just, really, it doesn't affect us, we just really don't care.
Like, well, it's
We have other stuff going on through here,
school zones and all
but
that.
everybody does that, so, you know, it doesn't make a difference really to us, it's just, it'll just be something else, they're gonna do it or they're not gonna do it.
Well, it won't affect our night shift.
Or it's too much in the grand
That
scheme
would
of
be
things.
all this complaint. Hey, there's too much goes every year comes out.
We got some people that like to complain about it.
Yes, we know.
Yep.
Yeah, we deal with that quite a bit.
I hate this fact. I live in Charleston, or Mount Pleasant, South Carolina, and I can't have a neighbor who's got an evil company, and he's tied to a tree in the backyard. Pretty much left me one, had half the kids there, and that dog, and she dig a hole and stick her head in and burn. You know, and I was the president of the HOA, so I would get phone calls all the time. Did everything I could, you know, this and that. But finally, I said that. And in court, you know, they're saying, oh, well, you know, you're just complaining about it. And I said, I'm just the president. I'm getting the calls. I'm not making the calls. I'm getting the calls. Yeah, this and that. And I said, I go over and I untangle the dog back around the tree. Feed it water, because it's dumped it over. I said, you never play with you. And it's, well, they finally can fence it. In the meantime, they got fined, big time. Well, they got fined a couple more times. And the animal control, now confessing this usually, animal control came to me one day, and said, next time the dog is on the property, this is give me a call. I said, well, I don't want to do anything to help. She's a sweet dog, can't help its owners. He said, no, I have a farm. So here she comes, chasing her cat in the garage, and the animal control came. He says, I'm doing no paperwork, I've never seen you. He said, that dog was beautiful. It took him a week to look at that dog. So, have you seen my dog? I said, when did it disappear? You know, it's like, oh, really? You didn't even miss your dog out in the backyard for a week.
That's crazy. Some people shouldn't be allowed to have animals, for sure.
They have too many kids and multiply.
But the thing about it here, you know, people call all the time and then they bring charges from dog parking, come in and out, they go to court 12 times for it. It's continued, this one doesn't have this paperwork, this one didn't have this one doesn't have their evidence, and we see them in here all the time, and the grand scheme of things, the judge doesn't do anything to them. The whole entire process is a waste of time. They might fine.
I think their last fine was $600 something.
I've never heard them give a fine that much here unless the ambulance.
Well,
actually
it
destroyed
went so many times.
So unless it's actually destroyed something, it's the whole thing.
Well, they're also in a rural county, it's in a subdivision where, you know, you can right beside each other.
Yeah.
But they kept trying to say it was all my fault, I was the complainer on it. Nope. And the judge looked at it and said, sounds like she takes better care of your dog than you do.
Well, if I put it in something.
Pharmacy can still run.
You know, I'm trying to find one of those things, just keep one of those on.
Runs.
One of them wants to put the wrong thing on it, and two wrong, like the other. It's just cry.
It's fine.
The only
Oh, I took, more so than houses, because it was going to be, man, my house is just doing this in the 60. All the time, so it's both of us. It just, yeah. Chasing. Maybe, you know. So because I could do worse than a minute. Morris, first one, here's the more line, so you know, things. Watch them. So we certain things like Texas. It's like rotisserie chicken, squash. Maybe 10 more hours. Oh my God, I've got no peppers on my soup. That was kind of disappointing.
Oh, what's the next one? We're gonna do Steve Show, it's called Farmer Wants to Life.
Oh, I've seen it before.
See, of course, I'm seeing that, we're marking code. Our luck, I know that. It's like so right on the show. That's really good. No. I see it. Oh. It's fine. Yes. Somebody posted a house on the similar. This came from, houses, kitchen, my house, and stuff, and videos. Here's one that came out, visit me. While I was living out there. And tomato and stuff. Watching TV. So, I just felt it's only a watch. It's into a one. What you can do is go in county. Or go into one of the closets that doesn't have to put this in the state. That's all you do. It's right in the computer. You fill out. Just move to the house. All the collects. Tolerates and everything. Matters. Family. Sleeping. Something. See, I lived it. They get caught by it. You daughters. All of these. They had to reroute.
She said. Did they sneak out the back door? No, it was have to learn to flow with it. It's just the world.
Oh, I'm saving them for after I go to my physical. Oh, let's see, do I have anything? That's all right.
Yeah. That's your bedtime, that's mine. That's your bedtime, that's mine.
What does TQ stand for?
Turkey.
What all do you have? You got a tourniquet?
Pepper spray, gun, magazine.
What's the thing like that?
Turkey.
No, no, tourniquet's over there.
Pepper
That's the one thing right beside.
This, my key, my dear.
I was reading the other day when we came to work, they have a canine vehicle right here, which they done idle the whole time because it has a dog in it. But I could go in a parking lot and keep my car idle for 10 minutes, my husband has to do. So Google them, like, they had a bunch of engineers to get together and test a bunch of vehicles and let them run for 24 hours to see, you know, what they do to them. And it was interesting because I was thinking about, what's that do to your cars? And it says that when they run like that, the oil doesn't heat up enough to run off the condensation that, you know, the engine throws in it, so it goes to water, which can slowly mix with the oil. I guess if you don't clean it right, it can slowly damage the engine. So it's like, I wonder what it does to these cars. Like, they have special radiators in them, they have special,
We keep ours kind of stay cool. We've got a big,
it moves, some wheels.
so it has a bigger radiator on it, but it's got dual fans. So they're made to sit there and idle, be ready to go. It's, you know, that every second counts. It needs to be down to it, so having to go on our car started, let it do its thing before it allows us to put it in gear.
Just wondering how it's still, you know, condensation's building up in the oil. That's why.
It's about the same wear as you would get because, so I was a mechanic before this. So always cutting off. It burns more fuel, but also puts a lot more wear and tear on the engine. It does all the wool from the top. Sinks down, so now you got everything, valve train, there's no wool, so all that was just sitting there grinding. So,
Well, this, you know, this automatic cut on off when you come to a red light.
it's.
In my BMW, I could override that and switch it off and never do it. But my Tesla, I'm a Tesla, that would have a Tesla. But my Lexus, you can't override it. You can, well, you can, but you have to do it every time you get in the car. You run the BMW, flip it off, and it stays every time you crank the car, so I can remember it. But it's like, that's not good on starters. It really isn't. Especially when you're sitting in traffic, Charleston, South Carolina, it's like,
A lot of the big cars, you got your fuel pump will weaken it, and when you get it running, it's fine, but you cut it off, and you're sitting there just cranking. And that happens to you out there, it's not gonna crank back, like you're saying, it's not light or the train tracks. So,
and I need to see what else y'all have in Japan. What's the breed you have?
Malamute,
Malamute or Malamutes?
I can't ever pronounce it right, but it's not, it's
It looks like a German Shepherd. It's a Malamutes.
yeah, something like that.
Yeah, Belgian Malamutes. They're great dogs. And that they use in the military a lot. Bomb sticking dogs and stuff.
She's very sweet.
Y'all just have the one.
And but we have,
It stays with its hand all the time.
yes.
Good night. Thanks.
Yes, ma'am. I'll be safe out there, but.
I will. I'll walk you, you can walk me, I'll walk you.
Hey, how you doing tonight?
Good, sir, how you doing?
Oh, pretty good. So you're our only spectator now. Everybody else is out.
See you waiting to make sure everybody knows good.
That's probably a good thing.
They all left. Yes.
But I won't be there.
You have to.
Yeah, I should stuff.
We got to get one more vote.
That's about what I would say. They were here quite a while. But then they got tired of it.
You ever see hate?
Absolutely. But, managed to get her part-time guy. Sure.
Hey, how are you?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
I bet you did. What's your
I
name?
didn't want to tell you that.
Oh.
I can call it.
Okay.
You may not like it. I don't think this one's a good one.
You may work with her.
Stuff.
Not put a face with the name.
Yeah, I didn't know.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. I recognize the name. Now, I got it.
Oh, she can.
All right. All right. Let me.
Turn on what you need to turn on.
Yep.
She said,
Oh, I can learn it.
We got one more. We're gonna wait for everybody to get back in.
Okay.
He said the rest were waiting for him to come back.
Oh, okay, good. I thought you were waiting on me. Take your time, take your time.
Mr. Chairman, I move for a roll call vote pursuant to Virginia Code Section 2.2-3712, certifying that to the best of each member's knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements under this chapter. Only such public business matters as were identified in the motion by which the closed meeting was convened or heard, discussed, or considered in the meeting by the public body, and no action was taken in the closed meeting.
Do we have a second?
Mr. Matt Seal,
Yes.
Mr. Steve Donahue,
Yes.
Mr. Kevin Meadows,
Yes.
Mr. Hubert Allen,
Yes.
Mr. Steve Rosen,
Yes.
Mr. Harry Donahue,
yes.
Mr. William Clifford.
Yes.
Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I move that we adjourn to the workshop scheduled for 24 March at 6:30 PM in the conference room.
Do we have a second? Second.
Mr. Matt Seal,
Yes.
Mr. Steve Donahue,
Yes.
Mr. Kevin Meadows,
Yes.
Mr. Hubert Allen,
Yes.
Mr. Steve Rosen,
Yes.
Mr. Harry Donahue,
Yes.
Mr. William Clifford.
Yes. Good job, everyone.
Warren's not a court.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, he stays rich. We can.
Yeah.
Yeah, he stayed.